Greetings, grade 11. Namhlanje sizoyenza the nephron, the role of nephron in excretion, right? So when we're talking about the nephron, we're actually talking about it's a little thing. It's very microscopic, and we need a microscope to see it. And if we check the kidney using a microscope, we can see that there are approximately millions of nephrons in the kidney, in each kidney, right? And a nephron is a functional unit of the kidney. You need to take note of that, right? So we'll be talking about the nephron, as I said, and the nephron is it's basically what makes the kidney function, right? So each nephron consists of a cup-shaped Bowman's capsule, right? So it has a cup-shaped Bowman's capsule, a coiled proximal convoluted tubule, a loop of Henle, and a coiled distal convoluted tubule, which leads to a collecting duct. Now, the structures that I've mentioned will be going on that on in this video, right? We said that it has a Bowman's capsule, which is a C-shaped cup. Then it has the proximal convoluted tubule, and a proximal convoluted tubule, it is a coiled tubule, right? And the proximal convoluted tubule, it is next to the what? To the Malpighian body. Now we'll be talking about the Malpighian body in this video, like later on. Hence, we say proximal. Proximal means near, right? And we're talking about the loop of Henle. The loop of Henle, it has the ascending and descending limb, right? Then we have the distal convoluted tubule. The distal convoluted tubule, it is also a coiled tubule, right? And which leads to a what? A collecting duct. So a collecting duct is where urine passes, right? It is the final duct in our excretion, right? Now, 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 I talked about what the Malpighian body, right? So the Bowman's capsule contains a network of capillaries which we call the glomerulus. So the glomerulus is a high concentration of capillaries, and together they are called the Malpighian body, right? Now, the renal artery carries oxygenated blood into the kidney, right? And it divides into smaller arteries. These arteries divide into many afferent arterioles, and each of these which leads into a what? Into the glomerulus, right? So each afferent arterioles leads to what? Leads to the glomerulus, a glomerulus. We talked about we have approximately millions of nephrons, right? So that means we have approximately glomeruluses. So it means that we have approximately 1 million afferent arterioles. You get that, right? And blood is then transported away from the glomerulus in efferent arterioles, which branch into network of capillaries that surround the nephron, right? The one that brings blood is afferent, and the one that carries blood away is efferent. You know, I feel like and actually you should take note of these things. So the afferent is the wider one, and the efferent is the narrower one. We'll talk about it in the video, right? Now these capillaries reunite to form the venules that carry the oxygenated blood with waste removed from it to the renal vein. Um, in in what you call you did this topic, man. What you call, I think it was last year? Yeah, last year when you did the heart. I think you did you mean I don't think you were talking about the renal artery and vein, but if you did, the renal artery and vein is the one that brings and sends blood away from the kidney. It's all about the kidney, right? Now we're gonna look at the structure of the nephron. Now, if you look at the structure of the nephron, we have the afferent arteriole, which is wide, and it is actually mentioned that it is wide. You can see it. Then we have the afferent arteriole, which is narrow. It carries blood away. Now, you can see that we have a capillary network, which you call the glomerulus, as I mentioned, and it is surrounded by a what? By a C-shaped cup, which is the what? The Bowman's capsule. Now, as we go along, as you see the arrows, as we go along, we have the proximal convoluted tubule, right? And when we're talking about the proximal convoluted tubule, you can see that it is next to what? To the Bowman's capsule, to the Malpighian body, as I said, right? So the thing we talked about, the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule together, we call them what? The Malpighian body. Then it moves to the what? To the descending limb, right? So here we have, okay, let me try to show it. Oh my god. No, I need the pen. Okay. Doesn't want to go big, guys. Okay, let's do this. Yeah. I need this pen, right? So if you look at it, right? So here we have the loop of Hindley. This is the loop of Hindley. Now we have the descending loop of Hindley. This is the descending and this is the ascending, right? Then after that we have the distal convoluted tubule. It is also coiled. Then we have the what? The collecting duct. Now that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the structure of the nephron, and I hope you understood it. Now let's move, right? So now we're gonna get into detail with the what? With the Malpighian body, right? Now the Malpighian body is a structure, this structure, right? You can see the afferent arteriole and the afferent arteriole, right? And the Malpighian body, it has podocytes, right? And it is also surrounded by squamous epithelium. Okay, I tried to show it, and yeah. So the podocytes, there are cells with projections between which small opening called the filtration slit. Okay, like this is where so, okay, I didn't talk about this, but the blood that is filtered through the Bowman's capsule is called the filtrate. It's called the glomerular filtrate. Now, the filtrate goes through the podocytes, right? So, yeah, I didn't mention it, but yeah, if you know what I mean, you can see it. We have, yeah, these walls, and it only allows certain substances that are too small, right? For example, blood plasma and protein, red blood cells, they are too big to pass through, right? So they can't pass through. Okay, yeah. Now we're moving on. We're gonna go to glomerular filtration, also called as ultrafiltration, right? So the glomerular filtration, it occurs in the Malpighian body, right? Then the blood in the glomerulus in under high pressure because of the afferent arteriole is wider than the efferent arteriole, right? It is under high pressure because of the size of the arteriole. And I talked about that you must take note of those things, right? Now let's go to Ndeki. Now the thin blood vessel wall with pores and the podocytes with filtration slits act like a very fine filter. Small things in blood are pushed through it. That's what I was talking about, right? And blood cells and plasma proteins are too big to pass through, so they stay in the blood of the capillaries. And I know that I mentioned this, right? And please know this, right? And if you see blood in your urine, seek medical help, right? Because you shouldn't see blood in your thing, in your urine, right? Now the part of the blood that filters into the Bowman's capsule is known as the glomerular filtrate, as I mentioned, or you can call it the filtrate. It's fine. Now, the glomerular filtrate contains useful substances. We have water, amino acids, glucose, vitamins, mineral salts, and waste products such as urea, uric acid, and creatinine. Right? So urea, we did it in animal nutrition. Yeah, I think yeah, where the liver produces urea and all that, it goes under amino acid goes under deamination and all. Yeah, it's a very complex it's a very complex it's a very complex this thing working process, but yeah, it's kind of not complicated. Okay, I like talking too much. Let's move on. Okay, now we're gonna go continue, right? Now the glomerular filtration occurs in the Malpighian body. I mentioned it. Okay, Okay, I don't know why this screen is okay. Oh, I made it. Oh, the problem is that I mean the animation thing, guys. Now we're gonna go to the renal tubule, right? So when we talk about the renal tubule, it's just the nephron without the what? Without the Malpighian body. So when we're talking about the renal tubule, you just remove the Malpighian body. Then we have the renal tubule. Let me try and show it. Oh, okay. Oh my god, what did I just do? Okay. Okay, guys, it seems that I can't get the pen, so let's just So when you see the renal tubule, you just take out the structure of the Malpighian body, then you have the renal tubule. It's just a tube, you know. So, and we talked about the proximal convoluted, loop of Inley, and the distal convoluted. So I won't be talking about that, right? Like, yeah, I won't be talking about that. So let's move on. Now we talked about what? We talked about the ultrafiltration, which is the glomerular filtration. Now we're gonna go to tubular reabsorption, right? So let's say the blood forms about like 180 liters of filtrate every day, but only 1 to 1.5 liter of urine are formed, right? So ask yourself, what happens to the filtrate that does not give rise to the urine? Okay, so we're gonna Mara, and you as you can hear reabsorption meaning what? This absorb again. Right, okay. So as the filtrate passes along the nephron, all the useful substances such as glucose, amino acids, vitamins, minerals are reabsorbed back into the blood along with most water. Okay, and this process we call it tubular reabsorption. Now most of the absorption it occurs from the proximal convoluted tubule. Yeah. Then the substances that are reabsorbed into the blood pass across the walls of the proximal convoluted tubule and surrounding blood vessels, mostly by active transport and osmosis. All the glucose and amino acids, as well as some of the minerals in the filtrate, are reabsorbed across the walls of the nephron into the blood by active transport, which requires ATP. You should take note of that. Now, water is reabsorbed by a process known as osmosis, right? So, yeah, this is what I explained. Actually, yeah, this is just a summary of what I was explaining. So, I need you to listen on this one because I didn't mention them into the slides, right? So, the proximal convoluted tubule, I wanna show you the how it is adapted for its function, right? You should listen to this because I didn't edit in the slides and all that. So the wall of the proximal convoluted tubule is thin as the wall is only one cell thick, right? And remember, something that is only one cell thick is very thin, so it can absorb very well. One cell, that the cell is very small, right? And the cells forming the wall of the proximal convoluted tube will contain many mitochondria, right? The mitochondria provide the cells with energy that they need for active transport. As I've said, active transport requires ATP, right? Now the cells forming the walls of the proximal convoluted tubule have many microvilli. Now the microvilli increase the surface area for reabsorption of the substances into the blood. If you did animal nutrition, you know this, so I think you shouldn't really stress that much. So now we're moving to must move to tubular excretion. Guys, I think I'm having some technical issues with my slides. I don't know what I did. Okay. Uh yeah. Now, I didn't talk about when it was entering in the loop of Finley and all that. Yeah, I didn't talk about that. Should I talk about it though? But I feel like it's important to talk about it. So let's go back. Right? So now the filtrate. So now the filtrate it went from what? From the proximal convoluted distal. From the proximal convoluted tubule, I'm sorry. Now in the ammonia, no, in the glucose, potassium bicarbonate, amino acids were reabsorbed into the what, into the bloodstream, right? Now the filtrate, now it moves the what, to the loop of into the descending limb, right? Now in this case, water is reabsorbed through what, through osmosis, okay? And the walls in this, in the in the descending limb, the walls are impermeable to salt, right? Now when we move on in the ascending limb, salt is reabsorbed through a process known as active transport. Now these walls are impermeable to water, so only sodium chloride is absorbed, right? Now we move. Now, when we move, we're gonna talk about the tubular excretion. Now, as the filtrate passes along the nephron, additional waste is added to it from the blood. The waste, this waste like ammonia, hydrogen ions, and bicarbonate ions, passes from the blood capillaries surrounding the nephron into the nephron. Right? It's okay. You might say, "What is Billy saying, guys?" We know that the nephron is surrounded by capillaries, right? So that waste, it goes from the capillaries into the what, into the nephron, okay? And most of them, it goes into the distal convoluted tubule, okay? So this is excretion, okay? So I'm sorry. So I haven't talked about medicine, did I? Okay. So I'll talk about this, and here you go. Because I know you might need some notes. I know you learners, you like taking notes and all that. Yeah. So this is what I explained in just in simple notes. Yeah. Right? Now, as the filtrate passes along the nephron, the waste become concentrated. The liquid that flows out of the nephron into the collecting duct is urine. The collecting ducts join up to form larger ducts called the duct of Bellamy, right? So, okay, hear me out. On this term, we pronounce it very differently, and I don't know, but we pronounce it very differently. I don't know, but yeah, we pronounce it very differently. So yeah, I mean, there's no master pronunciation, right? As long as we write it the same way. Okay, now the urine now goes into the it passes through the two ureters into our urinary bladder. Now it is stored, the urine is stored in the urinary bladder until the brain signals release, right? Now we're gonna go back to, okay, we're gonna go back to the collecting duct, right? So in collecting duct, water is not just absorbed, it depends, right? It depends on the amount of water you consumed, right? So when we're talking about osmoregulation, we know that osmo water regulation is just regulating, balancing things out, right? So we have the pituitary gland. Now, the pituitary gland releases a hormone known as the what? ADH, right? And ADH controls how much water is absorbed. Okay? Now, the sorry. Now, the part of the brain that controls the water balance in the body is called the hypothalamus, right? Now, the hypothalamus is the one that controls the release of the ADH. Okay? Now, the ADH, it is secreted by the pituitary gland, as I've said, right? Then, um, sorry. So, as I've said, ADH controls how much water is reabsorbed, right? So let's say that you drink a lot of water, right? So when you drink a lot of water, I mean, we need to get rid of that water because we only want the required water. So that means a lot of ADH will be released. No, little will be released. Sorry. And yeah, okay, let me say it like this. Let's say water levels are above normal. So when water levels are above normal, the hypothalamus will detect this, right? So after detecting this, it will stimulate osmoreceptors detect this, then it will stimulate the hypothalamus. Now the hypothalamus will secrete less ADH. Now, when it secretes little ADH, so it means that the water will be impermeable, so meaning that water won't pass through. Okay, now that means so little water will be reabsorbed, then it will make the urine dilute, and it will be very, very, very large. It will have large volume, and this happens when the water is above normal. Now when we let's go when water levels are below normal, right? So when water levels are below normal, osmoreceptors detect this. It stimulates the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus, it secretes more ADH. Now when it secretes more ADH, that means what the walls will be more permeable. Then when they are permeable, lots of water will be reabsorbed. Then it will make the urine concentrated and small volume, and it happens when you're dehydrated. For example, let's take an example. Okay, yeah. Your first pee in the morning is like yellow and smells strong, right? I mean, you know that, right? That's because you made concentrated urine overnight with only little amount of water. Now let's take this example. Okay, we have person one and person two. So person one only drank one bottle of water. I tried to make it, but yeah, let's just say this liters are water. Sorry, bottle of water. Okay, so the other one drank 4 liters. So we know that an average person per day should drink like at least 2 liters of water, right? Now, one person one is drank like 1 liter. That person didn't drink sufficient water. So it means that obviously we need the water, right? We need the water. So that means lots of ADH will be so, okay, let me make like this. So that means, the water levels are below normal. So that means, what? Lots of water will be reabsorbed, right? Now, this person drank 4 liters. Amata, why are you doing this? Why are you drinking 4 liters? Man, don't do that, okay? So, this person drank 4 liters. Now, we don't need the extra liters. So that means what little ADH will be produced, so less water will be reabsorbed, right? Then this is all for this video, and I hope that you understood. Yeah, we're done. And make sure that you rock it in the test, because this is such a easy topic to capture actually. So yeah, okay, but firstly let's do a quick recap of the steps. So we have 3 steps, right? We have the ultrafiltration, which is the glomerular filtration, the what you call the reabsorption, tubular reabsorption. Then thirdly, we have tubular excretion. Then we talked about the osmolar regulation, right? So I hope you understood this, and I hope that I will be seeing you. I'm looking forward to seeing you, and make sure that you subscribe and follow so you don't miss any videos, and for more videos to come. Love you. Bye. Mwah. Rocket in that test. Okay. Bye bye. Mwah.